Have you ever wondered why no matter how hard you work, it never feels enough? Why every time you achieve something, there's always another mountain waiting to climb? We live in a world obsessed with motivation, where every post, every video, every quote tells us to hustle harder and never give up. But what if this constant need to stay motivated is the very thing making us miserable? What if the same motivation that once inspired you is now quietly destroying your peace? This is the dark side of motivation, the part nobody talks about. The side that hides behind the smiles, the success stories, and the motivational speeches. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden truth behind your endless drive, why it often leads to burnout, anxiety, and emptiness, and how you can finally break free from it. Because maybe, it's not motivation that we need. Maybe, what we truly need is meaning. In today's world, motivation is treated like oxygen, something we believe we can't live without. Everywhere you look, someone is talking about staying motivated, hustling harder, or never giving up. Motivational videos flood our social media feeds. Influencers shout about discipline, consistency, and success. We are constantly told that we must be working towards something, a goal, dream, a version of ourselves that is better than who we are today. But what if this constant chase for motivation is actually destroying us from the inside? What if the very thing that's supposed to make us stronger is silently making us anxious, insecure, and deeply dissatisfied with life? The truth is, motivation has a dark side, a side that's rarely talked about. It's seductive, addictive, and dangerous when misunderstood. It keeps us chasing an endless future that never arrives. It convinces us that who we are right now isn't enough. And while it may push us forward temporarily, it also creates a silent war inside our minds, a battle between our present self and our imagined ideal self. To understand this dark side, we need to look at what motivation really is, not the shiny Instagram version, but the psychological reality behind it. At its core, motivation is a feeling, an emotional push that drives us toward a goal. It comes from a gap, the space between where we are and where we want to be. Motivation says, I'm not enough right now, but I will be once I achieve this. It's built on dissatisfaction. And while that dissatisfaction can sometimes be useful, it can help us grow or make necessary changes, it also becomes a trap when it defines our entire sense of self-worth. Because if you only feel good when you are progressing toward a goal, you'll never feel truly content. There will always be another goal, another target, another version of success just out of reach. The dark side begins when motivation turns into obsession. It happens quietly. You start by setting a goal, maybe to lose weight, earn more money, build a business, or achieve fame. At first, you feel excited. You wake up early, stay up late, and push your limits. But slowly, the process becomes your identity. You stop enjoying the journey and start fearing failure. You begin to measure your worth by your progress. And when progress slows down, as it always does, your motivation collapses, leaving behind emptiness, guilt, and self-doubt. The same energy that once inspired you now suffocates you. This is what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill, the endless cycle of wanting more, achieving it, and then wanting even more again. No matter how much you achieve, your mind quickly adapts to it and moves the goalpost forward. You thought you'd be happy when you hit 10,000 subscribers, but once you did, you wanted 1 lakh. You thought you'd feel successful when you made your first million, but now it doesn't feel enough. Motivation feeds this cycle endlessly. It never allows you to rest because it thrives on dissatisfaction. One of the most dangerous lies we are told is that motivation equals happiness. In truth, it often does the opposite. It creates comparison, competition, and pressure. When you constantly compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel, you start believing that you are falling behind, that you are not doing enough, that you are wasting your life. You wake up feeling guilty for resting, anxious for not grinding enough. This toxic mindset, often disguised as ambition, drains your mental health and erodes your joy. You stop living and start performing, always trying to prove something, not just to the world, but to yourself. The dark side of motivation also lies in its conditional nature. It says, I'll be happy when I achieve this. But life doesn't wait for that achievement. It's happening right now, in this very moment. Yet, because you're too focused on the destination, you miss the beauty of the journey. You stop appreciating the small moments, the quiet coffee in the morning, the laughter with friends, the stillness of the evening, because your mind is always somewhere else. Motivation keeps pulling you forward but never lets you arrive. Another hidden danger is that motivation often masks deeper emotional wounds. Many people chase success not because they truly want it, but because they're trying to escape feelings of inadequacy, rejection, or fear. They want validation. They want to prove their worth. They want to silence that inner voice that whispers, "You are not good enough." So they keep running, faster and faster, believing that if they just achieve one more thing, they'll finally feel whole. But it never works. Because no amount of external success can fix an internal emptiness. Motivation becomes distraction, socially acceptable form of self-avoidance. Think about it. How many times have you pushed yourself so hard in the name of motivation that you ended up feeling exhausted, anxious, or lost? How many times have you told yourself, "I'll rest after I finish this," but there's always something else waiting? This endless pursuit often leads to burnout, a state where you feel emotionally, physically, and mentally drained. You lose the ability to feel joy even when good things happen. You become numb. And yet, society calls this dedication. We glorify burnout. We romanticize exhaustion. We admire those who sacrifice everything for success, without realizing they may be destroying their inner peace in the process.
The darker truth is that motivation is not always your friend. Sometimes, it's your enemy in disguise. It keeps you running on autopilot, chasing goals that may not even be yours. Maybe you are trying to live up to your parents' expectations, society's standards, or social media illusions. You think you are being driven, but in reality, you are being controlled by fear, by insecurity, by comparison. You mistake movement for progress. You keep going, not because you truly want to, but because you are afraid of stopping. The irony is that some of the most peaceful and fulfilled people in the world aren't motivated all the time. They're content. They live with intention, not obsession. They understand that true growth doesn't always come from constant effort. Sometimes it comes from stillness, reflection, and acceptance. They've learned to let go of the need to always be doing something and instead focus on being. That's the real freedom, when you no longer chase motivation, but allow meaning to find you. We live in a world that constantly tells us to do more, be more, and achieve more. From a very young age, we are conditioned to link our worth to our productivity. Good grades make us good kids. High salaries make us successful adults. Social media followers become measure of popularity and value. It's no surprise, then, that our motivation is rarely our own. It's often borrowed from the expectations of others. Society has mastered the art of manipulating human motivation by rewarding external results and punishing internal peace. The system we live in thrives on your dissatisfaction. Think about it, if you were truly content, you wouldn't buy half the things that are sold to you. You wouldn't feel the need to constantly upgrade your phone, wardrobe, or lifestyle. You wouldn't be trapped in endless self-improvement loops. The economy depends on your sense of not enough. Every advertisement, every motivational post, every viral success story whispers the same message: you could be better. And just like that, motivation becomes a tool of control, way to keep you chasing, buying, comparing, and working without ever questioning why. Even in the world of personal development, this manipulation runs deep. The self-help industry, worth billions of dollars, thrives on convincing you that something is wrong with you. You are told you lack focus, discipline, mindset, or energy, and conveniently, they have the solution to fix it. Books, seminars, courses, productivity apps, they promise transformation. And while some of them can genuinely help, many create a psychological dependency. You start believing that happiness is always just one course away, one book away, one morning routine away. But it never ends, because the market doesn't want you to feel complete. It wants you to keep searching. Then comes the rise of hustle culture. We glorify the idea of grinding day and night, wearing exhaustion like a badge of honor. We admire those who sacrifice sleep, family, and health in pursuit of success. But this mindset is dangerous. It teaches us that rest equals laziness, that taking break means falling behind. We forget that we are human beings, not machines. We are meant to breathe, pause, and feel. Yet, in the race to stay motivated, we often silence our body's cries for rest, our heart's call for balance. The saddest part is that even when we achieve success, it rarely feels like we imagined. The excitement fades quickly, replaced by anxiety. What next? You achieve one goal, only to realize there's another mountain waiting. You thought success would bring peace, but now you are even more restless. This is the curse of conditional happiness, the belief that joy lies somewhere in the future, not in the present. The truth is, if you don't learn to be content before success, you'll never be content after it. Another layer of this dark side is toxic positivity, the idea that you must always be happy, always grateful, always motivated. It's the belief that negative emotions are wrong or weak. But this constant demand for positivity is unnatural. Human beings are meant to feel the full range of emotions. Sadness, anger, doubt, and fear are just as important as joy and excitement. When we suppress them in the name of motivation, we disconnect from our authenticity. We wear fake smiles, repeat affirmations we don't believe, and force ourselves to stay positive even when we are breaking inside. Toxic positivity also creates guilt. You start feeling guilty for feeling low, guilty for not being productive, guilty for needing rest. This emotional guilt eats away at your self-esteem. You begin to think, maybe I'm just not motivated enough. Maybe I'm weak. But the truth is, feeling demotivated is not a sign of weakness, it's a signal. It's your mind's way of telling you something is off balance. Perhaps you are chasing goals that don't align with your true self. Perhaps you are tired of pretending to be strong all the time. Ignoring that message only deepens the wound. Social media amplifies this entire illusion. You scroll through endless feeds of people achieving milestones, traveling, smiling, building perfect lives. You start comparing your behind-the-scenes struggles to their highlight reels. Suddenly, your own achievements feel small. Your motivation turns into envy, your ambition into anxiety. You start chasing not what you truly want, but what looks successful to others. Motivation becomes performance, way to gain approval rather than fulfillment. And yet, no one talks about how lonely this path can be. The more motivated you become, the more isolated you often feel. You spend hours working on yourself while your relationships fade. You start avoiding people who don't match your energy. You call it focus, but often it's fear of slowing down, fear of losing progress. In the name of personal growth, you disconnect from the very people who bring meaning to your life. What good is success if you have no one to share it with? Let's talk about another overlooked consequence, the loss of self-trust. When you constantly depend on external motivation, quotes, videos, influencers, you forget how to listen to your own inner voice. You become addicted to being inspired. You wait for someone else to tell you what to do, instead of trusting your intuition. This dependency weakens your inner power. True strength doesn't come from staying motivated 24/7, it comes from being disciplined, grounded, and aware, even when motivation fades. And it always fades. That's another truth no one admits. Motivation is temporary. It's emotional energy, it rises and falls like waves. You can't rely on it forever. But because we are never taught to sit with stillness, we panic when motivation disappears. We think something's wrong with us. We forget that creativity, clarity, and purpose often arise not from constant doing, but from deep rest and reflection. The dark side of motivation is that it keeps you chasing life instead of living it. It tricks you into believing that the future is where your happiness lies. But happiness is not a destination, it's a state of being. It exists only in the present moment. When you stop running and start observing, you realize that everything you were looking for was already here: peace, meaning, fulfillment. They were just buried under layers of shoulds and musts. So, the next time you feel unmotivated, don't punish yourself. Maybe your soul is just tired of chasing things that don't belong to it. Maybe life is asking you to slow down, to breathe, to listen. Remember, motivation can push you, but peace will guide you. Success means nothing if it costs your sanity. And the truth is, you are already enough, even when you're not chasing, even when you are resting. The real power is not in being endlessly motivated. It's in being deeply aware of what truly matters to you. Because at the end of the day, motivation fades. But self-understanding lasts forever.